week, we're actually talking about how to balance the online and offline world. And I think for 3 months, a lot of people have found working online a new way of working. Karen and I, we're old hats at this now, aren't we? Considering how much time we work from home or in remote offices. And yeah, I think online has been a big shift for us for a good couple of years now, especially when we're doing training and webinars. So what we thought we would do is, even though I found this past 3 months quite intensive, I had to take a week off because I work quite long hours. I've got a US client as well, so UK clients, US clients, so it's quite a long period of time to be constantly looking at screens. But I found it even worse because I have about 3 clients, 3 different Slack streams and different channels, and now I've got constantly being on the computer, looking at emails. At the beginning, it was a lot of news, looking at the news, trying to get updates, trying to keep on track of everything, trying to do your own marketing. It's like,
I know, it's a lot, isn't it? And I think it's those, like you say, there's different channels, which really, it's difficult to keep track, from Messenger to email to WhatsApp to Slack to, it's quite a minefield, yeah.
So what we thought we would do is, I think if we could share like top tips of what we have found that we should do, because I don't see this stopping anytime soon, in terms of, not in a bad way. It's great to see things moving along in certain aspects, but I think when, certainly with some of the clients and some of the businesses that I've been liaising with, when they've been asking staff, when do you feel comfortable coming back and travelling in for work? The answer isn't until next year. So actually it's still quite a spread to go. So I think people are still trying to get into the swing of it, aren't they? Of like working, but also, it's been so hard if you've had kids to try and do work, and now now focus and be quite dedicated in the time that you've got if the kids are back to school, if they're back to school. Now
they're all on holiday now, so
they're on holiday now. Yeah. Yeah. So really, what are the things that you can do to help, I suppose? So Karen, like, I tell you, what have you found? I think the other thing is, you're queen at the comms channels and Slack channels and everything. Help me there, because I've had to switch them off at some points, like only look at them at certain points of the day. I don't know, how do you manage it?
Yeah, I think I'm not probably a great example of that, because I do get distracted by sort of emails and notifications and things. But when I'm focused on a project and working on the website, I kind of just shut all of that out. And I just focus on that and then look at it later. I think there's that such sense of urgency that you've got to respond to everything there and then, and people are so impatient in the time frame that you have to get back to them, and the world's not going to fall apart if you don't get back within 5 or 6 hours, so I think, and unless they phone me, if it's really urgent, they can phone me, but I'm not talking about sort of 24, 48 hours. I mean, I get back to them within the same day, sometimes a few hours, but it doesn't have to be minutes. And I think we've got to get away from that culture of, you have to respond absolutely immediately, because otherwise you'll never give yourself a break. I mean, the reason I use things like Slack channels is because it does actually make my life a lot easier, because if you're doing a lot of emailing back and forth on a project with a client, they keep getting lost. I spend so much time, even though I fold them and file them away in folders, you've still got to then go through all the different emails or search to try and find that particular one. And it just keeps, as it's coming in, you just, it's building up in your inbox. And it's just nice to be able to use a Slack channel to have everything all in one place, where you can upload documents, you can add in links and everything as well.
We did that, didn't we, for when you were doing my website? I remember it just got to the point going, actually, this is round 3. This is like the 3rd time we'd updated the website, and I thought we have to do this a smarter way, because I'm going to lose stuff, or you're going to send me back something that I can't see, or it has just been absolutely buried. And so, yeah, I remember thinking, oh, it's just so nice to not have it in my email box. But the problem is, and I don't know if you have that, so I can see definitely the benefit. I've really noticed where it works. I've had to stop. So I've got about 4 different Slack channels, and then underneath you've got all the different threads.
Yeah.
So what I found, and I don't know if this might help, especially if you're in the service industry where you're obviously working with these clients, I think that's the point, isn't it? You can't be available all the time working on everything, otherwise you will get distracted. And I swear, I mean, I joke about it, but I say that because of now being online and constantly connected from your phone to your computer, I joke and say I've just developed digital dementia. I think it was Jim Quick that actually coined that phrase. And my cognitive have got worse. I used to have a really good memory, and now it's like, what was that? I can't even, like, where did I see that? Where did I find that?
And I think it's because you're relying on all those reminders and notifications. Mine's so bad. If I don't put it in my diary, or I don't email myself or write a note about it, I will forget about it. So I have to write down everything, and I've become so used to doing that. Because there's so much going on. You just, you filter in so much different information from different places and different projects. But I think what you're saying there is, when I'm working on project, it's just like, right, booking people in. So it's sort of like, right, okay, I'm doing yours tomorrow. I'm going to be working on the other one the next day, that, and so on, and just try and slot people in a few weeks in advance. And just, so I sort of email them and go like, right, okay, when do you think it's going to be ready? Because so I can book in some time, where I can focus just on your project on that particular day or those couple of days. Because, because I do often sometimes get, and they just go, oh, this is really, really urgent. And yes, if it is something really urgent and it's quick, I can usually pick it up straight away and do it. But it's not always going to be possible if it's quite a big job.
I think that's a really good point. So better boundaries, using tech channels might be easier than just constantly on email, but just being aware of it. The other thing that I've noticed as well is just to get away from, like, shut things down. So where you said shut things like down, like email, like I find social media is a big rabbit hole, because I need to be on social to track certain things. So I'm looking at journalists, I'm looking at articles online, and finding them on there, especially if clients have got coverage. Then all of a sudden I'm being distracted, and so certain things like switching things off. So you're constantly on it. You're on the rabbit hole, as it were. So I've actually had to take off certain apps off my phone. I've had to. So it's like, right, if it's for work, I will only access it on my work screen as and when I need it.
Yeah.
And not go down that spiral. I would also say that I would try and get away from the screen as much as possible, is the other thing. I find going out for walks, two things. I was watching Mel Robbins the other day. So the other thing that I would say is going out for walks and in nature. Like, I'm so lucky I've got a garden, and I don't know, you've got a garden as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
But I've got lovely woods around as well. So going for a nice walk in the park, I've really noticed the difference in myself when I get out and away from the screen. I had to take last week off to sort of break up how much time I was using on the computer, and my body just relaxed. And it's just I think when you stop, you really realise it. But we shouldn't have to be in that state. We really shouldn't. We shouldn't be giving ourselves this level of stress of constant looking. So actually really make sure that you take the time out to have those breaks and go out, and if you can, just go out in nature. Or the other one that Mel Robbins said, she had a video of herself in the bath at 2:00 in the afternoon. I was like, ooh, risque. A risque laugh there, Mel. But yeah, she said, no, it's the only thing that you can do to actually decompress. Your body goes into instant decompress mode. I thought, oh, interesting.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I suppose meeting, because people are meeting in person, so often be sort of meet up in person, have a coffee, something like that. And it's, although it even might be business related, it's still time away from a screen rather than on a Zoom meeting. I think it's trying to limit how much time that you're doing that as well, because I find it quite intensive doing meetings on Zoom. I mean, I used to always do them, and and people struggled to get onto them and that, and they were just like, okay, no, let's just call or we'll meet up or something like that. But sometimes if you're busy, it was just an easy way of really making the most of the time. Now that obviously everyone's used to it, it's very easy. People can get on, no problem. There's no technical issues there. But it's limiting the amount of those Zoom meetings that you have, I think, during the day, because it can get, by the end of that, by 5 o'clock, if I've had a whole day full of Zoom meetings, I'm absolutely drained.
It's true, it's Zoom drain, isn't it? Really, it's Zoom drain. I have noticed it. Again, from someone that used to use Zoom meetings, not a problem, to really notice how that's intensified. That's the other thing I do. If I know it's a certain call, I try and put certain calls at the beginning of the morning. And then I actually ask to do a phone call whilst I'm out walking, because that's the other thing. Walking and talking is that's
a really good idea.
It's a good thing to do. So I mean, there was a point, I had a lovely meeting. It's one of my favourite meetings last year. A friend of mine, through networking, she came up from Whitstable, and I went for a walk with her around the parks in my area. It was just such a lovely meeting. Sat down, had a coffee, and we went, why don't we just walk? So now I'm trying to do my best. I've done really badly the past couple of months, but when I do, I'd like to do that more, of like maybe on a Friday book a certain amount of calls in that are of a certain type, that I know that I can just walk and talk at the same time.
That's a really good idea. I think I might do that.
Yeah.
Start sort of encouraging that with other people, because I think that's really important, and I definitely don't get out enough all the time.
I disagree. No, absolutely. You've got to get out there and try and walk around. It's really hard. I mean, I've from somebody that was more active before lockdown, and then to see the reverse, whereas other people have been doing these amazing, it was the last one today, last PE with Joe Wicks, so that was the last one this morning. But as a lot of people have been getting into their routine, I've gone the other way.
I think so as well. And I when I see people getting so active and fit in that during lockdown, I'm like, what happened to me? So yeah, definitely I've got to change some habits and do more, get out more. Just got hi Nikki, we've got this stand up desk is brilliant.
That'd be good. They're quite big though.
She says Slack suits a certain brain style, I think, and she said it's a great tool, I like it, but it suits a certain brain style, and I think that's right, because I've tried it with certain clients, certain people, and some people get on with it, some people don't.
You tried Trello. We did Asana, didn't we?
We did Asana. I've tried Trello before with people. I've tried Basecamp. All various tools. I've just found Slack just really easy and simple. It doesn't have that kind of task management and notification thing, but it's just easy to just quickly dump ideas and send stuff through and link documents and that all in one place.
I find Slack more conversational, so I'm having more chat than Slack. Whereas Asana is more like projects. Here's this, but like I loved how we did it on Asana. It's like here's the page, and then it's like all right, and then it was what are our comments, and then it was just done. It was complete. I just loved the task completed bit. That was the bit that I loved.
Yeah, that's quite good, and being able to still see it there as well.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. I should probably try and get back into it again.
Oh my God.
But it is. I think people just. Yeah, it's when we were working on projects, it was like, I think, should we get people onto a project management tool and work that way? But so many people are just not used to it and haven't used it, that they just defer back to email and calls, Zoom calls.
I think it'll probably have to change though, because in all fairness, I know that it is a certain mindset. You're absolutely right, Vicky. I think there are certain brains that can deal with certain things. But I do think that sometimes for efficiency of getting those systems in and just taking a little bit of time to navigate through, but it is tried and tested. Like I said, Asana is for one reason why I love it. Slack is for another reason, and they are slightly different. So it's just knowing which one might be better, just to get away from the emails. The other thing that I was going to say is on your emails, it might not be possible for everything. But just having an auto response, if you're somebody that is constantly on meetings, just having an auto response on your email to say, I'm in meetings for most of the day. I'll check in intermittently, so you don't feel that pressure of having to reply back like constantly, and just set your emails in at a certain time. I have trouble with this because obviously if I get a media request, I have to go in and answer it quickly. Otherwise they're like, oh, I can't somebody else to fill the slot. That's the only downside, but I am checking. I just know what I can file to be actioned, and what will take my time. But yeah, blocking out times I think is a really important time.
No, that is really good. Yeah, and putting the autoresponder on. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because I know there's a couple of clients I work with who have that, and it's just you know that they're going to get back to you, but it just manages your expectations.
I think so, and I think as well, just because we're working from home, does it like I really just have to drum that fact in, because I think that's where we get really frazzled, because we're constantly working, like we're at home, and there has some boundaries between work time and online and what we're enjoying to work, enjoying your time. You know, if you want to spend time in the garden, you want to spend time with your family, you want to actually go out now. Or
well, it says after hours things as well, and I know I've been guilty of it, sort of responding to an email at 10 o'clock at night, but then you're breaking that kind of boundary thing as well, aren't you? And as soon as you start doing that, people then can think, okay, well, I can then phone you at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, or email and expect a response. I mean, and I'm not saying they do, because a lot of people just say, look, I really am so busy, I can only do something after 6 o'clock. I know it's not your working hours, because I've always said my hours are between 10 and 6. And I really appreciate it, and I'll do it, so I'll do that. I will do that if that's kind of the only option. But yeah, I've still got to get disciplined to stop responding to emails at night time.
I don't know if there's a way of like sometimes if I've got a whole load of emails to write, rather than send them out there, I just schedule them out for later. So you can do that on your Outlook. So instead of just send straight away, you can do the schedule to send at a certain time. So just do it for the next evening quickly.
I think there are tools, because mine goes through Gmail. I think there are tools that you can do that. Yeah, I'll have to look into that, so I can schedule them maybe to go out the next morning.
Yeah, and also...
But it's also that time of actually sitting there doing that work at night time. So even if you're scheduling it to make out like you're actually only doing the next morning, it's also the fact that I shouldn't be sitting there doing those emails at night when it's my time out.
Yeah, well, I mean, we work for ourselves, and also we've got smaller teams. It's not as if we have loads of people to delegate out to, and we're juggling a lot of stuff.
I know.
Probably more client work that is urgent, particularly now because of the situation and what they need to prepare for. I feel like it's been very much crisis response of trying to let's get this sorted now. Slowly coming, I feel a bit more at ease now. It's like right now I've had that break. I'm like, right, okay, I'm blocking off time to see who I can work with and, make sure I'm focusing on that client at that time.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not as
I think just getting some help, so I've got someone helping me out now with sort of doing my shows and stuff on Tuesdays. So, that has just been a huge, massive relief for me, because it means that I can focus on other things. Focus on the client work, focus on stuff that needs to be coming from me. And for a long time, it's sort of like, do you take that leap or not and get some help or not? But there's so many people there who can help, and on an ad hoc basis or for a certain amount of hours a month. That doesn't mean you're taking on a full-time employee, which can be really scary. So. Yeah. I just really recommend it, definitely.
That has been my biggest learning over the past 3 months, is like, actually, what should I be delegating here, because this is not sustainable. This actually was not sustainable for me. And actually, what can I do to do the stuff, like I can get away from the computer? Like what stuff can I delegate out? You're absolutely right. I think that's been quite a good couple of tips. I think we've come up with a nice sort of balance there of what to do. I'll hold you accountable, you hold me accountable.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Holding each other accountable.
The next time we have a chat about something, apart from being on here, it's going to be a walk and talk session.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll be on it's just pair of headphones into your phone, put it in your back pocket, start walking. If you can go out, if you're near nature near you, thoroughly recommend it. But it's
yeah, no, definitely. We've got woods. Yeah, I've got woods near me and that as well, and parks and things. So yeah, there's a lot around here. Yeah. So thank you. I'm just seeing if there's any other last questions. Also, devices being used, present platforms differently, which can cause tech trouble. I'm not quite sure what Nikki means there, but yeah, I'll ask you afterwards. Maybe it's too early. Maybe I need another coffee still. But yeah, no, I think there's some good stuff there. Some advice that I can take on board myself.
Vice versa, absolutely. You're going to have to help me with the some of these tech things. Well, you are my tech queen, so it's again, know your zone of genius. Tech is not mine. It's like, why am I even? There are certain things I would love to get to know and go, yeah, I can do this. But there are other points where you're just like, it would just take me too long in front of a screen when I could be doing something else, like you just said. Delegate that out and just figure out what your strengths are.
It is, especially because I mean, some of the things that people said, I've been sitting on trying to do this thing for 2 days, and it's taken me about 5 minutes. And I'm just like, you could have just come to me and got me to help you do it.
That's
and I wouldn't have charged a full hour for it as well. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's crazy. So people do that to sort of save a bit of money, but they've actually wasted so much energy and time over 2 days for a very small amount. So.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's been of interest. Hopefully that's provided some tips. I think we could all learn as we're trying to work around this new way of working, not to drive us crazy. I think there are certain effects to working from home, or especially adapting to not going out to meetings anymore. And it has such an impact, like I said. And we're not aware of it. So things like your eyes, having these glasses when you're, blue screen blockers, things like that. So it's really important just to be aware of how much tech we're absorbing, and also just for a better work-life balance, I think.
Definitely.
So we'll see you next week.